Welcome, I am Laura. I'm so excited you are here, and let's explore this deck together. Today we are exploring the There Are No Coincidences, a Manifestation Deck and Guidebook by Eliza Kelly. I am so excited for this one. I have had so many mixed feelings about this one actually. So I read Eliza's book, what is it called? It's like it's your destiny or something like that. I can't remember. I have it in my room. It's yellow. It's a book about astrology, and I loved it. I thought it was such a good book, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then I found out that she was doing a card deck, and I pre-ordered this before there was any like promo of the artwork, literally just because I loved her book. And then we sort of started getting like the box and like little like sneak peeks of it. And I was kind of like, oh, like I don't really know if this is what I was looking for, if this is what I wanted. It seemed a little more like simple or plain. But I let my pre-order go. I kept my pre-order. And then the other day, this arrived. And then I didn't open it until last night. I did actually go through it by myself, but I haven't actually like really deeply gone into it. So we are going to explore it today together and see what it's like. Because yeah, I wasn't sure, but I was like, you know what? There was a reason that this felt important. So let's dive into it. Let's see what it's about. Let's go through the guidebook. Let's figure out how this deck works. Because just from my quick glance through it yesterday, I feel like this has its own system that might be different than other things. So it is called There Are No Coincidences, a Manifestation Deck and Guidebook. This is what it looks like. You know what you need to know when you need to know it. And we come with our guidebook. It looks like this. It's in color. We're going to deep dive into this in just a second, but let's go through the cards real quick. So they're they're itty bitty teeny tiny cards. And I actually love small cards, but I was kind of expecting them to be slightly bigger. But it says patterns are wow, I cannot speak today. Patterns are messages, and it comes with this little like insert of paper, which I will keep because I will keep my cards in here, and it's a little flip box opening. So just on the back of the box here for just a second, it says, illuminate life's infinite possibilities and pierce the veil of modern mysticism with There Are No Coincidences. What does it mean when you see 1111 or when a hummingbird flutters by your window? How do you interpret an unexpected text from an ex or accidentally missing your flight? Unlock life's hidden universal meanings and invoke gratitude, alignment, and daily affirmations with this card deck and guidebook. The deck is organized into 4 original categories: cosmos, natures, thresholds, and chance, which walk you through the various daily encounters and experiences. The guidebook includes detailed instructions on the different ways to use, read, and interpret the cards. This deck is the perfect resource for astrology enthusiasts, modern mystics, and beginner witches alike. So it's a 44 manifestation cards with an 80-page guidebook with full color illustrations, okay? So that is what our box says. We're just going to tuck that off to the side, and we are going to dive into the actual cards, There Are No Coincidences, and the guidebook. Okay. I feel like let's go through the cards first, and then we'll dive into the guidebook after. So let's just zoom us in here. Alrighty, here we go. So again, this is just a little paper thing, but it's super cute. It says there are no coincidences. So they are oh, I am a little too close. Okay, so they are a square. The paper is fairly thin, but not too thin. Good flexibility. I don't know, it's paper. It's nothing fancy, but it's not horrible. Also, the rainbow is not on the cards. It is from my sun catchers in the window. And they are pointed corners, so the only thing is I might actually, because there is no gilding on these, I might round them out just for my own personal preference, because these can be a little stabby, but that's okay. They're cute. They're adorable. Let's dive into them. So they're very, very simple. They're very simple. Just from what I first went through, but we're going to see how this works. And that's why I feel like diving into and exploring the guidebook together would be really, really good, because we can both learn at the same time how to use and how to work with this deck. So starting us off, we have the cosmos, the ascendant. Then we have the sun. We have the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and then we move into the nature. So I believe we are going to need these sectioned off in their little sections. So I'm just going to tuck these off to the side so that I have them when we go through the guidebook later. So then we have nature, or like the nature suit, which is fire, earth, air, water, trees, flowers, insects, birds, animals, fog, stones, and then we move into the thresholds. So we have portals, dreams, memories, mirrors, tunnels, shadows, blades, fissures, crossroads, ghosts, silence, and then we move into chants. So we have encounters, delays, dice, coins, music, geometry, numbers, names, elixirs, intuition, and miracles. Alrighty. So these are our 4 different piles. I don't know if these actually need to be separated into 4 piles, but it just sort of felt like they might be. So we are going to dive into the guidebook together. We're going to explore this together and understand how to use this deck, because I'm like, you could just throw it in and use it sort of like an oracle, but I kind of feel like there might be some deeper system that was designed for this deck. And we're going to see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? Let's dive into the dive into the guidebook. All right, here we go. So starting us off at the very beginning, there are no coincidences, a manifestation deck and guidebook. So we've got our chapter titles. Oh, there we go. We're a little blurry. It means something, totality and voids, the architecture, design, keywords, numbers, tank, using the cards, interpreting the cards, and then the categories, cosmos, nature, thresholds, and chance. It means something. Okay, so we read this on the back of it. So what does it mean when you see 1111, a hummingbird, da 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 da? Well, it means everything. Every day, our existence is animated by infinite external and internal stimuli. Thoughts, smells, text message alerts, barking dogs, robotic callers, bottomless memories. It's virtually impossible to process the extraordinary amount of data by way of both real, tangible solutions and extrasensory energetic impressions that inundates us on a day-to-day basis. Naturally, we choose how and where to focus our attention, prioritizing certain matters while simultaneously ignoring others. Well, this type of experimental triage is vital for emotional regulation, and we're evolutionarily wired to do it. There is a fine line between neutrality and neglect. As we navigate the constant bombardment of breaking news tragedies and the back-to-back unprecedented events, there has become a hallmark of our approach, in addition to the stress, responsibilities, and exhaustion that affects us on an individual level. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. You can buy it if you want to read it all. It's just talking about like everything means everything. Down here it says there are no coincidences. TANC for short. TANC. TANC. For short, there are no coincidences, is both a statement and an expression, used similarly to how jinx is exclaimed when 2 people accidentally say the same word or phrase in tandem. You may say tank, whatever, to call out those magical synchronicities that we spiritually minded individuals know are much more than coincidences. Okay, so it's just talking about how nothing is a coincidence, okay? So totality and voids. There are no coincidences is a microcosm. The 44 cards are divided into 4 sections. So cosmos, nature, thresholds, and chance. With 11 cards in each group. Taken in its totality, this deck is intended to represent the macrocosm of every there are no coincidences that has ever was, is, or will be. This is, of course, an impossible task. In the inconceivably expansive landscape that is symbolism, 44 cards are barely a drop in the ocean. But in the wild world of mystical poetry, where ants and elephants dine at the same table, this deck should be regarded as complete. Every card in its corresponding category was carefully selected to mirror the most frequent, pervasive, and ambiguous there are no coincidences that I've ever encountered chronologically. As in the stuff of myths and legends. There's going to be a lot of me going as I skim this. Okay. So the architecture within this deck, there are boundless possibilities. We will be illuminating according to the deck's architecture. There are no coincidences. It's like an open door plan. Okay. There's no hierarchy. Okay, so there's no one technique better or worse than any other, and you have a free range to experiment and explore with the deck's myriad features and detailed below. All right, so let's dive into the design. So every detail of there was no coincidences was intentional. The font, the backgrounds, the colors, the layouts. Okay, beautiful. Each card is illuminated by 4 keywords, which must be in the guidebook. Kind of wish the keywords were on the cards, but that's just my own thing. I like keywords. These keywords offer insight, perspective, and nuance through comprehensive exploration. Okay. Numbers. Each card is assigned a number. Okay. There are no coincidences. Using the cards. Here we go. Okay, using the cards. There are no coincidences is a language. It's a way of tracking, tracing, and defining the magical electrical current that ignites existence on an individual and collective level. Throughout the guidebook, I'll reference magic with a CK, linking to its enchanted practices as opposed to magic with a C. There are limitless ways to work with your deck, but here are a few recommendations to get you started. Shuffling. So shuffle your deck, use it however you want. All right. When your deck is intentionally strong, the deck is shuffled, sufficiently shuffled. It's time to pull cards. Okay, we've done this. We know how to shuffle our cards. 1 card guidance, 3 card narrative, 6 card investigation. Let's read that. Exploring the deck through a 6-card spread offers comprehensive insight. When working with this ornate spread, consider what each position signifies before pulling the card, so there's a clear cohesion between the placement and its meaning. My suggestion is to allocate 3 cards to reflect your existing circumstances, card 1, 2, and 3, and the tools you will need to employ moving forward, cards 4 and 5, and then the divine opportunity that awaits as card 6. This is an excellent spread for navigating monumental transitions, transgressions, and transformations. Remember that the deck wants to clarify, not confuse, and because understanding the symbolism of each card requires interpretation, complicated spreads involving multiple cards can often muddle the message. It's hard to make sense of the signs, symbols, and synchronicities when the storyline becomes too convoluted. Developing a connection with each of the 44 cards will take patience, practice, and focus, so don't rush the process. Likewise, my recommendation for beginners is to pull fewer but interpret deeper. Display your card pulls on an altar. Okay, we got this. Okay, interpreting the cards. Okay, there's actually just sort of seems to be like how you would normally read cards. I thought it would be, I don't know. I thought it would be like, I was thinking like there was some like, what's your cosmos, what's your nature, what's your threshold, what's your chance? I don't know. I was thinking that. Maybe I'll just make my own system. Okay, so cards 1 through 11 are the cosmos. The 11 cards included in the cosmos category are linked to astrology, astronomy, and celestial mythology. They illuminate signs, symbols, and synchronicities that relate to planetary orbits, space, travel, and or extraterrestrial discoveries, as well as spiritual, poetic interpretations of stars, planets, and celestial bodies. Exploring your birth chart, that is, the map of the sky based on the date, time, and location of your birth, as well as horoscopes and transits, the movement of the planets in real time, will deepen your relationship with this category. And then these are the cards. And then we go into, so when we go through the whole deck, you get your card, what the card is, the category, then you have keywords, then you have your there are no coincidences, and then you can have personal notes so you can put in yourself, but it talks about the story and then the interpretation, and that's sort of how it goes through for all of these. All right, let's just play, because it's not as complicated as I thought it would be. Okay. I'm like, I don't know, I'm just rolling with this video. We're just exploring it. I still like the idea of like pulling a message from each category. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to shuffle these as its own little individual section and pull a card from each. And we are going to do this as like an introduction to the deck. Like what, like meeting the deck. So how, hold on, what do I want my question to be? You know what? I'm just going to pull one from each category as the deck speaking to us for how the deck wants to, what the deck wants me to know about it. So starting us off from the cosmos, we have Venus, followed by 22 stones from our nature category. And then we will get one from our portals. What does the deck want me to know about it? We got portals and our chants. Okay. And we have got dice. So let's dive into that. Alrighty. So we have Cosmos number 5, Venus, Nature 22 stones, Thresholds 23, portals, and then Chance 36 dice. Okay, let's dive into the guidebook and see what comes up. All right, so we have number 5, Venus. The category is the cosmos. So the keywords are romance, adoration, infatuation, and pleasure. The tonk is perfume, pastries, rose petals of the zodiac, signs of Taurus and Libra. The story is, when compared to planet Earth, Venus is similar in size, mass, density, and even gravity. But Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system. Its thick, dense, sulfuric atmosphere traps heat, causing surface temperatures to rise to 880 degrees Fahrenheit and creating a sweltering inferno. For some, Venus's monstrous conditions might come as a bit of a surprise, but from our vantage on Earth, this illuminated celestial body sure looks beautiful. It is, in fact, the biggest planet in the sky. This astronomical exploration of Venus is... There are no coincidences. I can't say tonk or tank. It just sounds funny. I'm like, I can't do it. I just want to say the whole thing. Okay. So perfectly mirroring its origin stories in the Greco-Roman mythology. When Uranus, the primordial sky god, became a power-hungry tyrant, his son, Saturn, used a scythe to castrate him and tossed Uranus's genitals into the ocean. And from the debris of organs and blood and semen, of viscose foam began to form and ultimately transforming into Venus, the goddess of love, wealth, and fertility. Venus is the Roman equivalent of the Greek deity Aphrodite. Indeed, Venus's archetype, there is like a truck or something doing something outside my window. So there's a very like loud, high pitch, like squeaking. It's outside my window and I apologize. Indeed, Venus's archetypes reflects the paradoxes of romanticization. In astrology, Venus reveres our idealized version of love. Venus symbolizes our perception of beauty as well as what others find magnetic about your character. While these desires might not always be sustainable, let alone realistic, Venus reminds us that life isn't always about our needs and sometimes our wants are just as important. The interpretation is when the Venus card shows up, consider your relationship with desire. Although love and sex coexist, the energy of Venus isn't specifically carnal. Lust is expressed through Mars, the planet of action. Venus's urges surround beauty, opulence, courtship, and even aesthetics. Unchecked, Venusian energy can certainly manifest through superficiality or materialism. Perhaps the presence of this card implores you to consider the role vanity is playing in your current circumstances. Might your idealized version of a dynamic be clouding your ability to accept the truth? Alternatively, this card's presence may encourage you to prioritize your Venusian sensibilities. Maybe you've skewed too heavily towards logic, pragmatism, and responsibility. And Venus's appearance in this deck serves as a reminder that life is more than utility bills. Pleasure is paramount. Now, this is really funny because we were asking, like, what messages does this deck have for us? Or, like, how are we introducing to this deck? But this resonates so deeply with me right now. So I'm like, okay, cool. Nature Stones 22. Here we go. Hold on. 22 stones. Our relationship, okay, so the keywords are durability, functionality, fundamentality, solidarity, pebbles, boulders, gemstones, crystals, and marble. Our relationship with stone is complex and somewhat paradoxical. Cold and common, stone is often deemed insignificant, especially when compared with colorful, sparkling, rare rocks and minerals like black opal and tanzanite. Someone with a heart of stone lacks emotion and empathy, and drawing blood from a stone refers to attempting the impossible, underscoring the lifeless state of this organic material. In Greek mythology, Medusa is believed to turn people into stone, cursing them into frozen sentient states, and getting stoned signals becoming temporary comatose from intoxicants. But stones also define the human experience as the material of the earliest tools, hot plates, weapons, and monuments. The stone was so significant that we refer to the beginning of human history as the Stone Age. Permanent, solid, and stoic, the hardness of a stone transcends lifetimes. Rock formulations remain seemingly unchanged for thousands of years, symbolizing concepts of eternity. Likewise, stones are often used to connect us to the other side. Gravestones, tombs, and catacombs are erected from stone, elevating the most ordinary material into the realm of divinity. The interpretation. When the stone card appears, consider how you can create more permanent structures in your life. What does it mean to establish stability, durability, and lasting power? How can you formalize, anchor, or reinforce your foundation? What does it mean for you to write it in stone, making it unchangeable and everlasting? The presence of this card suggests that process may not be the most glamorous. The stone value is not in its shiny, attractive facade, but rather in its density and hardness. Likewise, in order to tap into this card's potential, you may need to step away from vanity and ego, focusing instead on responsibilities, duties, and long-term obligations. Just as henge monuments have survived over 5,000 years, this is your invitation to establish something truly indestructible. Okay, I was underestimating this deck at first, but I am loving the combination of this with the guidebook. Because yeah, I've never looked at stones in that sort of manner, and I'm just like, ooh, that just adds this new element for me personally in looking at stones, which is also super funny because again, it was like, how are we getting to know the deck? But this deck is like, no, I am reading you. I literally just went on a road trip up north where there are huge monuments and huge like cliffs and rocks and just all these stones, and just like, it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. I went to like this art structure place that was all like these like standing stones of like, just, oh my God, it was amazing and super, super cool. But it's like, this is so funny because yeah, it's like there was so much in what I just read, and I was like, oh, I literally just went on this trip to explore all of these like stones. And I'm just like, it just, I don't know, for me it's connecting. For you, the viewer who didn't just go on this road trip, you might be like, oh, this isn't resonating. But I'm like, you know what, I'm enjoying this. I was sort of underestimating this deck, but again, there are no coincidences, and my past self knew that my future self would need this deck, which is why she pre-ordered it. So thank you, past Laura. Anyways, let's read the thresholds. So just, I didn't read this for the other one, but we're just going to read it for now. The threshold category is composed of 11 cards associated with the liminal realms. Boundaries, divisions, passageways, and gateways. The signs, symbols, and synchronicities explored through this lens exist in multiple dimensions and contain physical objects, spiritual beings, geographic places, and sensory conditions. This category explores the intersection of motion and stillness, inviting us to consider our perspective on, as well as our relationship to, transitory states of consciousness. So, portals. So we've got the keywords of breakthrough, transition, suspension, metamorphosis, doorways, windowsills, chimneys, dawn, and dusk. The story. I remember when my dad first read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe to me before bed. I must have been 5 or 6. As I snuggled under the blankets, my dad narrated the story of 4 siblings who unexpectedly, during a game of hide and seek, stumbled upon another dimension hidden behind clothes in the back of a closet. Sure, Narnia was cool, but it was the portal that truly piqued my interest. I wondered if supernatural passageways actually existed in the most ordinary places. As it turns out, they do, and you're holding one now. There are no coincidences. This card confirms that you have access to another dimension. Although this threshold may not appear as it does in literature, for instance, as the rabbit hole in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland or platform 9 3/4 in Harry Potter, the Portals card invites you to explore your reality from a different perspective. In metaphysical practices, it's believed that in-between spaces are where matter meets spirit. It is believed that portals can function as connections to the other side, enabling us to commune with those who have crossed over. Locations, smells, seasons, and even objects can function as portals, transporting us from one realm to the other. Doorways, chimneys, and windowsills generate incredible amounts of energy as they connect the inside with the outside, while transitional times of day, such as dawn or dusk, illuminate reality through rapidly moving light and shadow. Fundamentally, this card invites you to propel motion, to shift your vantage by choosing to step into a different state of mind. The portal invites you to actively step into a new reality, an initiation that will require courage, tenacity, and an appetite for adventure. This is just the beginning. All right, moving on to our final card. We have the category of chance. There are 11 categories in the chance category, are connected through possibility. The realm of chance connects multitudes. Sights, sounds, and patterns, along with games and potions, are measured through fate and fortune. Chance raises the stakes, inviting us to consider our connection to risk and reward, recognizing that when all the variables come together at exactly the right time and exactly the right formation, truly miraculous things can happen. And when they do, cards in this category will make sure you're ready to recognize and receive the extraordinary, generous bounty. So we have got category 36, or card number 36, dice. So this is fate, probability, risk, and reward. Okay, you want to talk about there are no coincidences? I just was filming and I just had this thing being like, you need to stop the recording and start a fresh one. And like, I literally went to go stop the recording and my camera just completely shut off. And I was just like, oh my God, like, did I just lose all that footage? I don't think I did. I haven't actually checked yet, but it gave me the opportunity to restart to restart a new recording. And I'm just like, there are no coincidences. Okay, let's dive into dice. Okay, dating back thousands of years, dice artifacts have been unearthed from nearly every ancient civilization. One of the oldest known gambling tools, dice were also used for divination practices, astrologomancy, and fortune-telling. Interestingly, all these millennia later, dice remain relatively unchanged. They are multi-sided objects with each face representing a different value. The most obtuse dice, the singular dice, is a cube with 6 indistinctive surfaces, each of which is marked with dots, 1 through 6, to designate different quantitative increments. Dice are a manifestation of probability, odds, and chance. With each roll, an individual is exploring randomness, risk, and of course, reward. In ancient Rome, dice was considered a noble game because the outcome was solely determined by the supernatural forces of destiny and fate. Indeed, there's nothing intrinsically bad about dice. We are, after all, constantly placing bets and making wagers. Every day is a gamble. Dice, however, raise the stakes of luck and fortune, inviting fate to take the wheel and merge into the fast lane. You better buckle up. Interpretation. Are you willing to roll the dice? When this card appears, it could suggest that fortune is on your side. Perhaps not everything can be perfectly planned and prepared, and in order to move towards your goal, you need to step outside your comfort zone and take a leap of faith. Maybe working with fate, destiny, and chance is the best course of action. But what if things don't go the way you imagined? Will you be able to tolerate a loss or rejection, a failure? It's important to remember that these undescribable circumstances and consider the risk-benefit ratio of your decision. Of course, life is filled with gambles. Right now, explore what this dynamic means for you individually. Okay. Cool. I don't know. It's sort of like not what I was expecting, but I don't really know what I was expecting. And I'm sort of in this like thing of like, I'm going to keep it. I thought I might not. I thought I might like pass it on or hand it off to someone else, but I'm like, no, you know what? I think I will keep it, and I think I will sort of keep them in their little sections. I do like this little like pull one from each that I just did. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, because it's, I don't know. I'm kind of like, now I want to like shuffle them all together, but I'm like, then I have to reorganize them all. Okay, hold on. Let's just do a little shuffle. Alright, final message. What is there are no coincidences. Oh, we just had that flip, so let's see that. Names, 41. Oh, there's another one that flipped. So we had names and elixirs. 41 and 42 come forward. I also love this card because I have a thing for typewriters. So, and we're just going to read it from the guidebook. Let's see. Names and elixirs. 41 and 42. Are these oh no, there's 44 cards. I was going to say. She also has, like, at the back, there's like a little index of everything. Okay, so names, identity, value, reputation, legacy, avatars, surnames, usernames, titles, and pseudonyms. In Shakespeare, legendary tragedy of star-crossed lovers, Juliet, I am so sorry about that noise outside. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can, and it's driving me nuts. But there's literally nothing I can do. There's just people doing weird stuff outside my window. All right. In Shakespeare's legendary tragedy of star-crossed lovers, Juliet famously muses, "That which we call a rose by any other name would still smell as sweet." Exploring how titles exist independently from their entity's intrinsic value, names are deeply codified signifiers that, depending on environment, context, country, culture, and language. Keep an eye out for names. Temptations of even distractions and denial. I don't feel like reading that anymore. I'm done. All right, so that is everything. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if this is something that you're going to pick up, if this is something that intrigues you, how you would work with the deck. Would you shuffle it all? Would you keep it all in its little piles? I don't know. I haven't fully figured out how I'm going to use this, but I do like it. I do like it, and I feel like I am going to keep it. Again, there are no coincidences. I pre-ordered this for a reason, and just now that reading that I just did, the little one of like getting to know the deck, really resonated with stuff that I've been going through recently. So I'm like, okay, this deck might just be here to tell me sort of like what's going on. Anyways, super excited. Thank you for hanging out, and thank you for exploring this deck with me. I'm so glad that we could go through it together, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah.